Well, let's do some world news now. And the UK goes to the polls on Thursday to elect a new leader. What can we expect in the 2019 UK general election, where Brexit is likely to dominate the campaign landscape? Boris Johnson's premiership has steered the Conservatives firmly into the Leave camp, aligning with the strong and established Eurosceptic orientations of many national titles. But how does this affect the rest of the world, including Ghana? We spoke to some Ghanaians living in the UK. Here are their thoughts.
The UK goes to the polls on the 12th of this month, which is just a few days away, and a lot to be expected from this election. I mean, currently it's the Conservatives who are in power, and if you speak to a lot of people from the black community, they are not in favor of the Conservatives, and they would wish that the Labour actually gets into power. I find myself in Mitcham, a predominantly black community, and I'm asking the people here what their expectations ahead of this election really is, and if indeed they're swinging towards, Labour, or they are going to the Conservative side. And remember, there's also the SNP, and then there's also the Liberal Democrats. So join me as I sample some views of some of the people here in Mitcham on what, their expectations ahead of these elections will be. What really do you think it's all about with immigrants voting for Labour all the time?
I don't know about other people, but I've always voted Conservative.
Why?
Oh, because I see they are the progressive party. They give opportunity to people to progress, grow. As long as you are hardworking and you are willing to save and invest, the Conservative is there for you. If you are lazy and you want to relax, you can go to whichever party you want. I've always been Conservative. But for this election, I've decided to vote Labour.
Why?
Not because of anything, but I don't trust this government.
Why?
The Conservative government I voted for last time, I'm not going to vote for them this time, because look at the cabinet they've got. They are rude, they don't respect, and they think Brexit is everything. They can't give a statement without ending it with Brexit or starting it with Brexit. And England is not Brexit. It's part of it, but we have life ahead.
For me, I've always been a Labour voter. But in the last few years, I voted tactically because I live in Sutton Borough, and it's a Lib Dem seat. So Labour, if you vote Labour, it's like you are wasting the vote. So I've always voted Lib Dem. But this time round, I want to vote Labour again because of the NHS.
Because of the NHS?
Because of the NHS.
What about the NHS?
The NHS is our lifeline. No, the American system and all other systems are not good for us.
Which one are you for and why?
I'm for Labour, simply for the fact of when my parents moved to the UK.
From where?
From Sierra Leone. They always had this great thing to kind of vote for Labour because they felt like they looked out for people who are who have a bit more difficulties in terms of trying to set out their life and things here and things like that. So I've always kind of gravitated towards voting for Labour as well, just following what they're all about.
All right, and is it more about, okay, you just told me that they are more sympathetic, or they are more empathetic towards people, they look out for people, but how about those who also believe that the Conservatives come to empower people, and the Conservatives are all for, being, hardworking and going for what you want?
No, that part is true to a certain degree. I think the Conservatives do look after their own, and when I say that, I think the name is within itself. Conservative, they tend to conserve the wealth for themselves, and they represent people who are, I would say, slightly above middle class. So they can be kind of out of touch with kind of what's needed in terms of at the grassroots levels. And I just kind of feel like, yes, if you're able to have a good start in life, then Conservative are obviously the people that you would obviously kind of want to kind of be in power because they look out for your interests. But I think there's more people on underneath that, in the middle class kind of bracket underneath that. So I think people tend to lean more towards Labour. They seem to be a bit more understanding in terms of what people want.
When I came to this country in 1972, I found Labour to be for the foreigners. They look after us, they listen to us, and they help us. That is why, and being a foreigner here, and I needed a protection, a safe environment. That is why I voted left since 1972. So that's why I voted Labour. I found the Conservatives as rich people, well-educated, toughy noses. They don't care because they have never suffered before. Some of them were born with silver spoon in their mouths, so they don't care about, and they had no regard for the foreigners.
So for a lot of people, it's the party that will gravitate towards empathy, it's the party that will stay in touch with the needs of the people. It's about the NHS provision of health. It's about, the things that could make lives better for people of power. You've heard a lot of them, and I'm sure in Ghana, there'll be a lot of comparisons to be made, and there'll be a lot of, things to draw up from what these people, especially a lot of them being Ghanaians, are telling us. From Mitcham, Surrey in London, the United Kingdom, this is Baba Tando.